It's 1957. Let's say you live in Wisconsin. You're a teenager. You dig a brand new sound sweeping the airwaves called rock and roll, and you want to play it. Maybe you could pick up an extra $5 a night playing in bars, or you could be an opening act at a ballroom for the likes of Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran, or Buddy Holly. Well, here's the problem. Even though Wisconsin artists like Les Paul and the Chordettes dominate the national pop charts, they seem just a bit old. They dress in gowns and tuxedos and play in sophisticated nightclubs and in places like Las Vegas. The problem in Wisconsin was, in 1957, polka was still king. That year, more accordions were sold in the city of Milwaukee than any other city in the entire world. During hunting season, a stray bullet had a better chance of hitting an accordion than it did a deer. Every small Wisconsin town had at least 5 bars on Main Street and just as many polka bands. Successful, homegrown rock and roll bands seemed to be popping up everywhere, except here. So the question then was, who would be the Badger State's first recording rock and roll band, and when can we expect a big rock and roll hit song from one of our own? There are 2 answers to that question. Stay tuned. Welcome to Wisconsinology on Music, collaboration with 91.1 The Avenue and Wisconsinology. In January 1957, at Northland Sound Studios in Wausau, Wisconsin, the Whitecaps, a 5-piece rock and roll band from Appleton, gathered to record a pair of original songs written by the band's lead guitarist, Ricky Lee Smolinski. Wisconsin's first rock and roll record, Rock and Roll Saddles. The record caused a minor stir, and more important, personal appearances by the Whitecaps inspired a lot of kids around the Northeast region to start their own rock and roll band. What was now needed was a young Wisconsin band that could produce a national hit. That band came into view in 1959. They were called the Fendermen, and they were from Madison. And whereas the Whitecaps were reflecting the sound of what was playing on rock and roll radio, the Fendermen were fiercely original, minimalist, and primal in every way. They were their own thing, and in doing so, they were the very essence of rock and roll. The Fendermen were Jim Sundquist and Phil Humphrey. They were a duo playing Fender guitars plugged together into one Fender amp, hence their name. The song is Mule Skinner Blues.
Good morning, Captain. Well, good morning to you. Do you need another mule skinner down on your new mud run?
When it hit the airwaves, people wondered if it had been recorded by inmates at an insane asylum. At the time, Johnny Cash, an aficionado of both Inmates and Insanity, called it his favorite record. Mule Skinner Blues was an international hit. It reached number 5 on the American Top 10 and hung around the charts for an amazing 18 weeks. It sold well over 1 million copies and has been downloaded several million times more since. The song propelled the Fendermen into the big time, at least for a while. As for the Whitecaps, they broke up in 1959, and no one outside a few Northeast Wisconsin hipsters and record collectors knew that they had cut the first rock and roll record in the state. The internet era brought them back, and they were revealed to a small niche audience of record collectors and rockabilly enthusiasts around the world. As Johnny Edwards, the lead singer of the Whitecaps, says during the guitar break on the recording of Rock and Roll Saddles, "Weird, man." For 91.1 The Avenue and Wisconsinology.com, I'm Frank Anderson.
Cha-cha-cha!
Wisconsinology on Music is presented by Heid Music. Heid Music is your community musical instrument store, proudly supporting live music, music lessons, and music education, with additional support provided by a grant from the Bright Idea Fund from the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region.